So Lara, I've actually heard a couple of myths around STEAM learning and digital technologies. I was wondering if you could enlighten us on some of those myths or maybe bust a few.
Sure, yeah. I think there's a lot of confusion out there and a lot of different takes on what STEAM is. Some unawareness of the digital technologies side of things. One of the first ones that we hear a lot about from teachers is that they don't have the money to buy all the tools and they don't have the money to get all the gadgets and all the stuff that we use. And so we work really hard to try and balance that out with some what we call unplugged activities. It's all about problem solving and computational thinking. So we can do that without the tools. We can do that without a device. And teachers are already doing it in their class anyway. So it's becoming aware of what you're doing. One of the exemplars actually from the ministry with the new digital tech curriculum, there's a lot of unplugged ones. And one is a grid and you have to direct the bee to get to the hive using directional language to get to flowers along the way. So you're giving it clear instructions to get there. And if it makes an error, then you have to try again. And that's the debugging side of things. So there's some great resources out there. There's CS Unplugged is a website developed by a team of New Zealanders at the University of Canterbury. Yeah, it's really cool. It's got heaps of awesome unplugged activities, even learning about binary digits and things. So you can learn some quite advanced skills without much tools and hardware.
Cool.
It's definitely a point within the digital technologies curriculum and to extend that learning where you do want to bring the tools in so that you can get that experience of bringing the digital world into the real world and pushing it back the other way too. It would be amazing to have a tool for each student, but it's about collaboration too. So getting the kids to work together, to problem solve before they take it to the tool and to write their code and test it out. And the software with, for example, Microbit is fantastic because it's got that Microbit simulator on there too. So you can already see it before you go and put it onto the Microbit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I guess you don't want to go ahead and commit to buying all of these things before you actually have figured out how to use it yourself. And you might as well
100%.
do that while it's free and accessible to you. So.
Yeah, and I think the key is to knowing there's not one tool for every job, but there is a tool that will suit every job.
A tool set.
Yeah, it totally is. It's a tool belt. So you're not going to put the nail in with your screwdriver. So you've got to think, well, what am I trying to achieve? And what is our goal and our purpose and our vision? And then which tool might support this? And how does that integrate with my curriculum too? So don't need millions of dollars. It is cool to have tools and gadgets, but you've got to know how to use them first. It's like the iPads sitting in junior classrooms everywhere in New Zealand. Teachers have never been trained properly on how to use them. So they're gathering dust or they're used for just kids consuming content.
Right.
Yeah. So we want to shift from kids being consumers to creators, and knowing how to use the tools or how to do the thinking and the problem solving is the key to that.
Perfect. Do you need like a specialist to come in and help you set up all these things? Is that something that teachers can do by themselves confidently?
Yeah, so I think that's a big shift in terms of a lot of schools have had specialists for digital technologies for a long time, and that's great, but it keeps all the knowledge with one person, and it also means it's not integrated across the curriculum. And we know that learning happens when you make connections between what you already know or what you're learning about somewhere else. So the ministry are really keen, and it's part of their wording with the new digital technologies curriculum that it's going to be embedded and integrated across curriculum, which means that every teacher up to year 10 needs to be able to teach this computational thinking and designing and developing digital outcomes. But if we don't bring STEAM learning into our classrooms, we know we don't get the same engagement and results from students. We want to bring it into everything. I think the thing is when you start to unpack the curriculum and what STEAM actually is or why you would do it, teachers suddenly realise they're already doing a lot of this and it's making new connections between what they're doing and maybe just putting a slightly different lens over it.
What about space? Is there like a designated room you need?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're going to go and buy a whole lot of tools, you want to make sure you've got them somewhere secure and you can charge them. So having all that kind of accessibility within a room is important. But I guess you want to have the tools accessible and movable to wherever they need to go to for wherever the learning's happening. A lot of schools are looking at makerspaces, which is great, and you can go to with your kids. But I think it's important to bring it into every classroom so that it's not, oh, well, that room's booked out.
Because I've seen quite a few classrooms, they sort of move their desks to the side and they'll just create sort of a maze on the floor.
Yeah.
So something like that is achievable?
Yeah, flexible spaces, and I think teachers are really good at that, and we just pick it up, move it, and you train your kids to do it. And
Come on
then,
kids, you've got 5, 4.
here's your song, get it sorted.
Yeah.
So I think being flexible, moving things around, and the kids start to decide that they want to integrate this stuff into what they're doing as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What about things such as the drones that are used? Do you
Yeah.
need like a special space to use that in?
So the air block is one that we use in trainings, made sort of out of foam pieces, and the components all go together with magnets. And it's great because if it hits a wall or hits something, it just falls apart as it should and then can be clipped back together. So it's really durable and robust, and that's what we want in our classrooms. We want tools that can be dropped, that can be kicked, fall off a table, and they're going to survive, because that's the reality of being with 27 kids.
Yeah. I've been noticing that a lot of the STEAM tools we've been talking about are listed as STEM on the PB website. Can you help enlighten me? Where does the A fit into the STEAM?
Yeah, okay, so science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics. To me, the A is probably the most important part. So it's a little bit like the E in that, especially in primary schools, we look at the arts in our curriculum. It's dance, drama, visual arts and music, which makes us think, okay, are we chucking the A in there so the kids can be creative and do a bit of design? Yes, it's all of that, but it's so much more. And when we look at university, what sort of subjects come out of an arts degree? That's society, people, culture, change over time, it's your philosophy, your literature, it's everything. In school, we often look at social sciences as separate to literacy or English, but actually they're all the same thing. They all come into that A. So it's about the morals and the ethics of what we're doing, how it's going to impact on people in the world and making those decisions, which is pretty important. I think it's the most important because we need all the kids to be the voices in the future. So the people who are programming and designing what our world's going to look like, we need everyone to have a voice in that. We need, especially in New Zealand, we need agricultural scientists, we need environmental scientists, we need them to understand how to make action and make things happen and create, and what the impact of that, positive and negative, could be. And if we consider the people with the A, then we'll make much better decisions about how we develop and design and use the tech that we can. Because just because we can do something, it doesn't mean we should do something.
Yeah, awesome. So we'll definitely update our website one day and get the A in there.
Get the A in there. So that E stands for engineering. And that, I think, becomes a sticky point for teachers because engineering's not a subject that we teach. It's not a named subject packaged up as engineering at primary school. Bits of it come out in secondary school, but it's not a specific standalone
Sounds more
subject.
like a tertiary type.
Yeah, so the idea behind engineering is science is all about what we understand of the world and how it works. Technology is about building and creating and innovating and coming up with new solutions, and engineering is where those two worlds meet. So taking what we know and taking the skills in the making and the creating and bringing them together to create something new. And the dictionary definitions of it, one of them actually says, the action of working artfully to bring something about, which I really like. I think that's really cool. And the branch of science and technology concerned with the design, building and use of engines, machines and structures. So there's different types of engineering.
It's like craft and science.
Yeah. So when you start to think about it like that, you see the creativity and the ability to expand and for kids to take it in any direction they want to.
Let's say me, PB Tech guy, is an educator and I have a big classroom full of kids. I can acquire all these tools and I can sit them down and show them how to use the app and say, go for it.
Yeah, then you can do the stuff quiz.
Yeah?
Yeah, or just read the paper.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
Oh.
Sorry, Harry, no. So unfortunately, the teacher still has a pretty crucial role to play, so we can read the newspaper later on. While we're talking about kids designing and developing and being creative themselves, it's still obviously really important for the teacher to scaffold that learning and to bring it into context. So we know that students learn better when they have an authentic context to hinge everything onto, and it's up to teachers to use their expertise to do that, to design the programs and help them with it. The teachers know their students incredibly well, and they know what their students need and how to help them. They know the ones that are going to give up when they come across something that's challenging and hard, and they know the ones that are going to keep going and push on through. So that role of the teacher is vital. You're going to have kids who really struggle with the basics through to kids who are amazing and will be teaching you, and that's great. We want the kids to teach us. It empowers them, reciprocal learning.
But basically, don't be afraid to just get stuck in.
And learn alongside them. You know, put the paper down and go and say, show me what you've done there, or man, your code's really different to somebody else's. Why don't you go and put that on my computer so we can see it on the projector and we can all share it. So all of that falls out of doing these activities, and learning alongside your students will really empower them, and it'll be fun.
You don't have to be an expert to be able to help the kids get the best out of the tools you
Not
supply
at all.
them with.
So a little story. I had a Year 7 class, and I had a student who, great coder, I had no idea what he was doing, and they got to do some projects and they chose what they wanted to do. It had to help people. And he said he wanted to develop an app so that new students to the school could use the app to figure out where they were in the school, where each teacher, which classroom the teacher was in, or a picture of the teacher so they knew, order their lunch on the app and do all of this. And I'm like, I knew he could do it. I knew he had the skills to do it, but I had no idea. So I said, okay, that's cool. Are you going to need my help to do the coding? And he says no. And I said, great, you go for it. You go for it. This is awesome. And my role with him was to sit down and talk to him about, who do you think you need to discuss this with within the school? Like, who are the people that need to be involved in helping you develop this? And helping him to direct his thinking around that and what's important. So that was really cool, and he, in the end, after 3 or 4 weeks, he did have a really good prototype, which he showed us. He wrote it all in script, he didn't do it with block coding or anything. No idea what it meant, no idea. I knew what it did because he told us and he could articulate it really well. And I think he's continuing to work with the school to actually develop it, and the school will back him with money to get it up and running.
But it's still great because you were there to support him and show him the steps he needed
Yeah.
to take. He might have the skills necessary, but you have the knowledge
Exactly.
on how to achieve his.
Yeah, and how to help him get the most out of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Good job, you.
Yeah. I know.